I'm fond of this theme because I have experienced in my own life that for lack of spiritual dimension in our life, we are illusioned. And in the process, even the best of our talents, whatever we feel, are not able to contribute their best. There are a lot of intellectual debates in various forums, but we always remain away from the solution and we keep on post-marketing things with the result is too late. Only day before yesterday, Lucknow University had its convocation, and the Vice Chancellor, a good friend of mine, had arranged a post-convocation lecture by Shri Monte Singh Ahluwalia. He is a very eminent economist and a very competent person, no doubt about it. The subject was challenges of 12th plan, and he narrated various achievements and various failings also. And thereafter a usual question-answer session began. And to be fair, there are no answers to some of our problems, because answers are not at the mundane plane. In my introduction, it was told I did my engineering. I was a student of science and mathematics, a very good student, not I'm saying to highlight, but I have a point when I say this. In my childhood, I saw religion around me. Some of the persons who were considered to be very religious, when as a child I used to watch them closely, I used to notice their conduct to be very irreligious. And there was a question in my mind, there was a dilemma. What is religion? If religion is what these so-called religious persons do, it is not acceptable to me. And if they are not religious, then what is religion? With this kind of conflict in my mind, I became an engineer and soon joined Indian Administrative Service. This is a service, like many others, which provides lot of opportunity to serve people, equally to exploit people. Somehow I was fortunate. I never thought on the wrong lines, and I was doing my work sincerely to the best of my capability. Few years after, a young friend of mine, on my transfer from a particular place, asked me a question, Mr. Mittal, why do you work hard? Why are you honest? Such people usually repent later. I had no answer. In fact, I was further confused. For a moment I thought, why not to turn this honest, instead of regretting honesty later. But that was not in my blood. But this question certainly posed me a big question before me, why should one be good? Is it a random choice, or it is some scientific conclusion, belief? And with that, my spiritual sprouting began. And what I have experienced in life, when you crave for something, nature provides for it. Provided your craving is enough. I got the answers in the form of many books, many personalities, and many organizations, including the Brahma Kumaris, of which there are many personalities here. And I found they talk of the same thing, same essence. And this contemplation went on for about a decade. When I wrote my first article, Why to be Good, very elementary thing, but this is a question which haunts the whole world even today. You must have heard of a book, Difficulty of Being Good, by author Guru Charan Das. He had written a 600 or 700 page book on that question. And perhaps one doesn't get the answer. This is a question which can only be realized अनुभूति स्तर पर इसका होता है, कोई इसका लॉजिक आप नहीं दे सकते. And when that realization came to me, in all my earnest, I thought of sharing with others in the form of Kabir Peace Mission. It's a very subtle organization which we try to through which we try to develop positive thinking in the society. And when I say positive thinking, it is a value-based thinking, it is spiritual thinking. And thereafter I came in contact by my spiritual master, who reinforced this belief of mine. I didn't know anything new from him, but what I knew already was reinforced by his association. And the life changed its meaning. I became better at my job, better in the society, and better within myself. And that is what the spiritual dimension of life is. It's a matter of great satisfaction that institute like School of Management Sciences Varanasi takes this initiative. This is the need of our. When Professor Premvrat was the Vice Chancellor of UP Technical University, and he had been Director of IIT Roorkee, the university became IIT subsequently, and we had close association. We discussed this. We called two conferences of directors, one in Lucknow and one in Noida, and we decided these inputs should now be given. Giving these inputs is a big challenge. In the morning session, we noticed diversified views were coming. But nevertheless, the need of these kind of inputs is very much being felt, not only in India, but all across the globe. Today, happiness eludes all of us, most of us. Perhaps India is fortunate in the sense that our happiness index is better than most of the countries of the world. Many other indexes are poor. Last year, we had invited one Nobel laureate in Lucknow. I'm president of Lucknow Management Association. And there was a talk on the future of higher education. And China is now often mentioned when India comes in any discussion. And in many parameters, most of the parameters, why many? China surpasses India. In his talk also he mentioned many parameters, whether it's education or technology or transport or steel industry or research. China is still much ahead of India. Nevertheless, he was a man of depth. When after the talk I had interaction over dinner, I asked him, sir, you are mentioning all the parameters in which China is ahead of India. Of Swami Vivekananda, I had a discussion today in a college at Varanasi. And it is pity that the real depth of these personalities are not at all shared with our young generation. At best, they are giving certain information, place of birth, place of history, but what were the ramifications of their deliberations and thinking? That has to go, and lot of research. In fact, research is already there. The information, there is no depth Knowledge also there is no dirt, but it is the wisdom which comes out of that knowledge which is lacking. And this is where these kind of conferences assumes meaning. I'll give you one example. One of the most successful managers of this country I have come across is Mr. E. Sridharan. He was a railway officer, electrical engineer, plus civil engineering also he did. I first met him, in fact, my spiritual master and his spiritual master is Swami Bhumanand Tirth. And I met him in his center about a decade back. He had constructed Concon railways from Bombay to Goa, which is one of the most difficult railway projects, at least in the Asia. And thereafter he was working on Delhi Metro, which has successfully completed now, much ahead of schedule and cost runs. Over lunch, when I was sharing table with him, that I asked him, sir, what is the secret of your success? And I put a condition, please answer me in one line. He said, why do you need one line? I'll answer you in one word. And the word he used was integrity. I thought over it. I knew the answer. I needed a confirmation from a person who has practiced the same in life. Integrity. And then I thought integrity is not a word. It is a textbook. Why things fail today when they say good persons don't? They don't look at goodness in totality. Our many scriptures, all the scriptures mention parameters which constitute our personality. Bhagavad Gita says 26 qualities. Unless you are equipped with all those qualities, your goodness is imperfect. It starts with abhyam, fearlessness, and ends to viryam, humility. I am an honest person, but I am fearful. I don't take decision. What will my honesty do? I am very tired. And I have no respect for others. And there are many honest persons in our society which fail not because of their honesty, but because of those qualities which do possess. So the answer lies in not giving up our good qualities, but acquiring our missing qualities. And when we aspire for that, we go ahead in that direction, our personality starts becoming perfect and we are able to face all the situations. Delhi Metro was not a small project. It is one of the most difficult projects one can think of. In an environment, Delhi is neither a state government nor central government. Lot of political concentration is there. Government keeps changing. The finances involved are huge, and you can understand what kind of system we work in. We have seen in Commonwealth Games. We have seen in many other projects. But to steer through this environment successfully is a result of spiritual input of the personality. What are the other personalities? This is my analysis, and I get some from somewhere else. We have 4 dimensions of our personality. One is our physical dimension, a good body. We inherit it through our genes. We don't have much control on its shape, color, size, etc. But certainly we can keep it in a good, healthy condition. That dimension gives us health, which is important, because body is the primary unit, is a temple of our spirit. Then man is equipped with the faculty of mind, which has a power of thinking and power of discrimination. This is what differentiates human being from all other creatures of the nature, and perhaps that is why it is called the most rare species of nature. But it has both the dangers. When mind thinks, it can think in the wrong direction, it can think in the bad direction. But we have that discrimination, that we wake up whether to think right or not. The mind makes us acquire qualifications, so many things. It gives us wealth, it gives us fame, it gives us positions and all those things. But all those who acquire wealth, positions, fame, are not necessarily good persons. If mind is not controlled by the superior faculty called intellect, it can go straight. That is why we have bad administrators, bad judges, bad professors, bad businessmen, bad industries. So that dimension is equally important and it brings us character, faith, etc. But there is a further dimension because all those who acquire positions, character, etc. are not happy. Happiness comes when we develop our spiritual dimension, and that is why it is the most important. And happiness does not necessarily, in all faculty it doesn't come. I think our respected Mahesh Bharti was telling it. It has nothing to do with position. It has nothing to do. They at best can help in giving us happiness, but in themselves they are not an assurance of happiness. When this dimension comes, we become a true human being which not only serves oneself but serves the whole mankind. I'll give you one example. I read a book many years back, Roses in December. It was written by Justice M.C. Charla. One of the most successful persons one can think of in this era. He was a Supreme High Court lawyer in Bombay, became judge, thereafter he was Chief Justice of Bombay High Court, then he was a member of International Court of Justice, he was High Commissioner to UK, he was Indian Ambassador to USA, and thereafter through Rajya route, he became Education Minister of this country. A more envious career one could think of. But he was a man who never believed in the spiritual dimension of life. And in his book, he has devoted that chapter. He realized that mistake towards the end of his life. And the small chapter he says, personal. He says, today I am alone. I have nobody's company. Even my wife has gone, my children are away. The walls of this room bite me. And he further says, loneliness is different from solitude. In solitude, one is in communication with oneself. In loneliness, one is at war with oneself. So whether you are able to communicate yourself, these times come to everybody. I have some friends in BJP and they keep telling me one of the powerful Prime Minister of this country, and today he is a helpless person. He has lost his memory, he has lost his movements. How to face this time, such kind of time? It comes only through that realization, who am I? And that is why this input has to be given at the right moment. And our youth, particularly this is an institute and for youth, they have tremendous challenges ahead. In my time, challenges were much less. In forefathers' times, even lesser. But today, even to watch TV, you need tremendous wisdom. In my time, there was only one channel. There was only one program. I had no choice. But today, you have tremendous discrimination to use. Which channel to use? You have half an hour, 40 minutes, whatever the time you are marked for entertainment, and you have to decide. And so many newspapers, internet, so many sources of communication. Bank challenges. Our Mandesh Singh Ahluwalia the other day mentioned 3 challenges. What is the challenge of the future? How do we manage? We have to think in a very intelligent manner right now. Why do we waste paper? Sorry, I don't need to say anything. Why do we waste so much paper in wrapping these books to be released, which have to be opened immediately and paper has to be thrown away? Where will this garbage go? Will it not reach the Ganges? Where will it go? Banaras city is a very dirty town. It has to be dirty. We all are increasing our consumption unnecessarily for no purpose. So these inputs have to be addressed to, and I think an institute like this takes initiative, we have a hope for the future. Lastly, I would mention, I am happy to be in Varanasi today. Towards the end of 20th millennium, on 31st December 1999, a gathering of Saint Chidanand Muniji were also there in that gathering. We had on the Daswamed Ghat an evening aarti. And in that aarti, Dada Vaswani, he had also come, and he had come with a broom in his hand. And he said, I have to say nothing. My broom is my message. If you want to clean things, there is no option to take a broom in your hand and proceed. And the next day, on the 1st January of 2000, the Dalai Lama, His Holiness, gave an address to the world in the name of Millennium Message. And the essence of his message was, we need a spiritual revolution. Nothing less than that will change the world. And when he further clarified, spiritual revolution does not mean something in isolation. It is sum total of all revolutions. For that we need social revolution, economic revolution, political revolution, and moral revolution. Today, we have a lot of movements in this country. Freedom, political freedom is very mature now. We are more than 63-year-old free country. But the second freedom struggle is very much in need of the hour. In a book which came out after 60 years of independence, India at 60, there was a write-up on Bhagat Singh. Bhagat Singh was a revolutionary, but he was also a very intelligent person. During his confinement and jail, he had written a lot of things. But some of the organizations have told me, and they provided me some of the literature. And it was mentioned, the day he was being hanged, he handed over a letter to the jail authority addressed to the Mother India. My dear mother, you will soon be freed by the Goran rage. But you have to have another freedom struggle from Kalam rage. And that freedom struggle is our economic freedom, social freedom, and moral freedom. And these things are necessary if we have to, and I'm sure nature will take care of it. And when ideas like this come, they are only steps towards second freedom struggle. I wish this conference all success. I'm sure it is very well organized, except timings have gone haywire. My humble request is, please determine programs will be on time and they will be on time. It is only when we feel inside, it is not possible. Then I organize Lucknow Management Annual Convention this year. Every year it used to go haywire, but this time it ended 2 minutes before 5 p.m. That was the time schedule. These are possible, and even punctuality is a part of spirituality. It is not different from it. With these words, I thank you for this opportunity. I feel very happy.